I find this whole conversation somewhat surreal because in my community in Portland, Oregon, the city is unveiling a new climate action plan to reduce local carbon emissions even more. We're already below 1999 levels on a per capita basis, but our community has committed going forward to a clean energy future to do our part. And it's jarring that at the same time we would consider on the floor of the House rolling back the modest, balanced approach that the administration has undertaken with the carbon rule. A carbon rule that's not yet finalized, a carbon rule that is dedicated to working with local states to try and fine-tune it to make sure that it works right, more public input, but nonetheless, even though it's a little late in coming, that the United States steps up. We have a major responsibility. We are the largest contributor to carbon pollution in the world. And we're number 2 now behind China. We have a responsibility to do our part. But we have a responsibility to do our part not just in terms of global leadership and trying to change this tremendously destructive trajectory we're on with carbon pollution, as we will no doubt hear from the Pope in 3 months in this chamber. But it is part of what's going to happen with other countries in the world. If the richest, most powerful nation in the world can't step up to do its part, how can we expect to exert global leadership and prevent catastrophic events elsewhere? The notion that somehow this is going to be an economic catastrophe is balderdash. The reason the coal industry is in trouble is because coal is dirty, it's inefficient, and it's more expensive than natural gas. It is not a foundation for our energy future. Being able to move to a low-carbon future is a bedrock for economic prosperity in the future. We just heard from a gentlelady from California that has proven to be an international leader. Their economy is going great guns. They're reducing their carbon footprint, their carbon use, and people confuse energy price.
The gentleman's recognized for an additional 1 minute.
The price of energy with the cost of energy. And what's happened in states like California that have been creative in terms of energy conservation and pricing it properly, use goes down. Some of the people with the lowest rates waste the most energy. They actually spend more. Part of what we did with climate legislation, as the gentleman from New Jersey well knows, that actually would have reduced the cost for most people. We don't want to be on the wrong side of history on this because it'll have a devastating effect. The administration's modest support proposal ought to be supported. We ought not to pretend that we can shatter it and piecemeal it out to the states to undercut it. We ought not to pretend that this is not a real problem that deserves our attention going forward. To waste time today with something that would turn the clock back, that won't pass the Senate, if it did, it would be vetoed, is sad. We ought to be working together on a low-carbon future to be able to make it work right for each and every community.